Winning the lottery is a dream for many people. The idea of sudden wealth is too tempting to ignore. But for some, that dream quickly turns into a nightmare. Today I'm going to tell you the stories of 5 lottery winners who ended up bankrupt. If you win the lottery, try not to make the same mistakes. So let's begin. Evelyn Adams. Adams won the New Jersey lottery twice in the 1980s, totaling $5.4 million in winnings. She was a waitress before her win and lived a relatively modest life. However, she quickly developed a gambling addiction and lost all of her money. She ended up homeless and relying on the kindness of friends and strangers to survive. Her biggest mistake was continuing to gamble and not seeking help for her addiction. She spent her money on gambling, luxury items, and expensive trips. Jack Whitaker. In 2002, Whitaker won the $14.9 million Powerball jackpot, the largest single jackpot in lottery history at the time. Whitaker was already wealthy before he won the lottery, owning a successful contracting business. However, he quickly became the victim of theft and lawsuits, and his granddaughter died of a drug overdose. He eventually lost most of his fortune and faced multiple legal issues. Whitaker's biggest mistake was not being prepared for the sudden wealth and the attention that came with it. He also made several bad investments and was too generous with his money, giving large sums to friends and family who didn't always use it wisely. Have you ever heard of William Bud Post? Bud Post was a carnival worker who was struggling to make ends meet on disability benefits when he hit the jackpot in 1988, winning a staggering $16.2 million in the Pennsylvania lottery. Suddenly, he had more money than he could have ever imagined, and he wanted to enjoy every moment of it. He bought a luxurious mansion, fancy cars, and all sorts of extravagant things that he had never been able to afford before. He also generously shared his newfound wealth with his loved ones, giving away large sums of money to help them out. However, Bud's happiness was short-lived. As soon as people found out that he was a multimillionaire, they started coming out of the woodwork, asking for money or trying to take advantage of him. He didn't have anyone he could trust, and he made some unwise decisions, such as not hiring a financial advisor and not being cautious about who he gave money to. He also made some bad investments and was sued by creditors, which drained his fortune. Michael Carroll's story is somewhat similar. He was a garbage man in the UK when he won £9.7 million in the lottery in 2002. Like Bud, he went on a wild spending spree, buying drugs, alcohol, and all sorts of extravagant things. He also shared his wealth with his family and friends, giving away large sums of money to help them out. However, Michael's partying and addiction to drugs and alcohol got out of control, and he couldn't resist the urge to spend money. He made several bad investments, and he was robbed multiple times, which only made his financial situation worse. Within a few years, he was bankrupt and living on social welfare. David Lee Edwards was a former drug addict who lived in a trailer park before he won the Powerball lottery in 2001 and scored a whopping $27 million. With all that money, he went on a wild spending spree, buying a mansion, fancy cars, and all sorts of extravagant things. He also generously shared his newfound wealth with his family and friends, hoping to make up for lost time. However, David's old demons soon caught up with him. He couldn't resist the temptation of drugs, alcohol, and other vices, and he quickly spent his fortune. Within a few years, he was bankrupt and had to move into a storage unit. His addiction and his inability to manage his money were his biggest downfalls, and he made some bad investments along the way. Creditors sued him, which only made his situation worse. In conclusion, the stories of these lottery winners who went from rags to riches and back again show us that money can be a double-edged sword, but it can also lead to unexpected challenges and risks. The lottery is a game of chance, and while it's fun to dream about winning, it's also essential to approach it with caution and responsibility.